morning. Carl Bogar here for Kenosha Military Surplus and Historic Military Impressions. Doing a slightly different, weird video today. Nothing really to show you. I just wanted to talk. Today is a very special day for me. Today is September 6th, 2023. On September 6th, 2013, 10 years ago, I walked away from the safety of a nice government state of Wisconsin job for the promise of nothing. And I just wanted to share with you how that 10 years went, hopefully to motivate somebody who hears this video to take a chance on their dream. Because a lot of times people who make videos like this are rich and famous and have planes, and it's hard for us to see their humble beginnings. But I'm only 10 years down a road that I have traveled, so I'm still stumbling, I'm still falling, I'm still finding my way, but I'm still finding the courage to take one step in front of me, not knowing where that road leads. So let me start with telling you the build up to my deciding to leave the state of Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development for the promise of absolutely nothing. Our daughter Rachel was born, and in 2010, shortly after her birth, March, I was going to take 12 weeks of maternity leave. And I remember I was driving to Sheridan Road, 8600 Sheridan Road, the job center here in Kenosha, and I was listening to K-Love. And I heard the radio just went dead. But as the radio went dead, the last thing I asked Providence for was a sign that now was the time. See, 2000, I created Historic Military Impressions. I had a dream to become self-employed. By the time I was 45, I was 44, and I asked for a sign if now was the right time. My intent was to take 12 weeks of maternity leave and not go back to the state, but sometimes it's hard to give up the stability of traditional employment and traditional life. And as the radio went dead, as I was pulling into the job center, it finally came back up, and the morning host said, that was kind of weird. The phone rang, and as I was answering the phone, the entire system shut down and reboot, and we should have lost the phone lines as well. And he said that there was a young girl on the phone that wanted to let us know that today was the only day of the year that was a command. And they were talking about it, thinking about, well, how could it possibly be a command? What does she mean? And then they realized it was March 4th. The command is to March 4th. As I was pulling into my spot at the park, the last thing I heard was an immediate response to, is it a sign? Is now the time to initiate the dream that I've had at that point for 13 years I've been working towards? And my immediate response was to March 4th. I can tell you I did not have the faith or the courage to actually do so. And March 4th, 2014, March 4th, 2000, it was 2010, 2011, 2012, praying to Providence again, Lord, I didn't have the courage, I don't have the strength, make this road, the only option that I have. And sometime after that, my mother-in-law was taking care of our daughter. Our daughter was now, she wasn't walking, she was in therapy. We had to take her to therapy twice a week for her to try to get her to walk. There was some complications with her birth, and it was complicated. And my mother-in-law told us that she had to give up her apartment down here to take care of some health concerns of her own and had to move back up north to her house. We found that we then had to figure out how to make this work, and I'm looking at having to take a second job to take care of the daycare, and we had no way to figure out who would take her to her therapy appointments multiple times a week. And one night I woke up and I went and looked at my spreadsheet, and I realized that the same number I was short if I took a job that I did come up with daycare was what I was short if I had no job at all. And I shared that with my wife the next morning, and she's like, that's doable. So be careful what you ask Providence for, because he will deliver. And he delivered us in such a situation that September 6th, 2013, I had no choice but to leave the comfort and the stability of a state job for the promise of nothing, to follow my dream, to walk a road in front of me that I had nowhere where it was going. I had no idea if I'd be successful. And right before that, the CVSO at the time for Kenosha, Daryl Green, asked if I could do a Vietnam exhibit because the Vietnam Wall was coming to Pleasant Prairie. I agreed, and I could tell you my first Vietnam exhibit, from my perspective, was a disaster. I angered some local Vietnam veterans, a group of local Vietnam veterans here in Kenosha, because they felt I shouldn't do it because I wasn't a Vietnam and country veteran. I'm obviously a little young for that. I have a master's degree in military history, but I'm just a historian. They felt that they should do it, and I thought I would never do it again. And shortly thereafter, that last puzzle piece Providence delivered, and I got several calls the weeks after that to do our exhibit in Berwyn, Illinois, in New Richmond, Wisconsin, Racine, Wisconsin, and it just kind of exploded. And the exhibits carried us through. And I can tell you, K-Love again, as I was getting those calls, there was a young lady who started her own business, called into K-Love and said, if you can make it 3 years, if she was told if she can make it 3 years, everything would fall into place. Everything would be successful. And I'm like, okay, God delivered the message of March 4th. He made it so I had no choice to walk down the road that he put me on, and I have to make it 3 years. I could not ever have possibly imagined in that 3 years that 2 years later, Kenosha Military Surplus would be handed to me functionally as a gift by a good friend of mine, Michael Schumacher, who created it 22 years before. It was time for him to retire. He had some offers, and he asked me, he said, I had some really decent offers for the store, and I told him he had to do what's right by his family and do what's best for his family. And he said he wanted us to have the store. My wife and I took it over November 1st, 2015. He walked out on Halloween, gave us the keys. We opened the next day. And at that moment, he had no idea what we would have to pay for the store or what he would want for the store. But it was an act of faith, and we took over Kenosha Military Surplus. And 2 months later, he came and said this is what he wanted for the store. And my wife and I were so shocked that he functionally gave us his business of 22 years and entrusted it to me, and we rounded up the number, the next whole $1,000 increment, just to make it a round number. And the store has been growing well ever since. And then coming up on 2 years ago, this November, November 2023, will mark the second anniversary of Jim Jones functionally giving us his business, the building that the business is in, allowing us to not only have Mike's store, Kenosha Military Surplus, but my business, Historic Military Impressions, in the same 4,200 square foot building. And my son eventually will have his business in the front of it. When he graduates Carthage, he's currently getting a degree in history and business marketing or business finance or business management. So it's been an amazing 10 years. And here I sit on the first day of the next 10-year evolution of what's to come. And just as 10 years ago, we have an exhibit in Indiana coming up this weekend. Don't know what it will bring, but only Providence knows. And, excuse me. Why I am making this video is over the years, I've had a lot of people discourage me I once had my dad use lots of explicitives, tell me how stupid I am to think I could get paid to play show and tell. And I travel all over the United States playing show and tell. We've had people come to this store from 39 different countries and counting. We actually put up a map to keep track of it. And if I ever listened to all the people who told me I was stupid to think about being successful, doing something so unique that the SBDC once couldn't give me a NAICS code because they said in 20 years I was the only unique business they've ever had, then other people can be successful. Because I started out life as a person who could not read, could not function in an adult world. I was destined to have a certificate of completion from the Chicago public school system and not a high school diploma. We had to move to Florida so I could have a high school diploma. And today I have 5 college degrees. So I share this with people because I want you, someone hopefully, to plant the seed that believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, have the courage to take the first step down a dark road that will possibly bring you in amazing things. I mean, I remember my last physical before I left for the dark side, if you will, having chest pains and having an EKG during the physical, and my doctor telling me, nothing wrong with your heart, it's all stress. And today you would think I'd be more stressed out, not knowing if I'm gonna make a single penny today, but yet I have bills to pay, I have student loans to pay like everyone else, but yet the stress is different, and it's an amazing journey. So I encourage hopefully someone out there to take the chance on your dream, make your dream a reality, and have the courage to walk the road in front of you, knowing that Providence will always provide for you, and that has already walked the road in front of you and knows where you're going, even though you just have to have the courage to take the next step. Thank you. Thank you for everyone over the last 10 years that has supported us. I'm obviously emotional because I wish Michael Schumacher was still alive. He passed away in 2019. He had a lot of issues doing the exposure of Agent Orange, and COVID finally was the last straw. And well, enough said. Believe in yourself, take the courage on yourself, and have the courage to walk a road to your dream. Thank you. Hope you have a great day, and I hope everyone who sees this video has a good one.